Sports stories from the 419 in Northwest Ohio, brought to you by a voice you know. It's time to go around the area and around the Hearn.
Hola and bienvenue. Welcome into a brand new edition of Around the Hearn. A lot of things to get to. We talk a lot about volleyball and golf in this show. The head coach of the Kalida Wildcats and Kevin Stechschulte, who's a boys, finished 8th at the state, behind winner Warren JFK and the runner-up in Van Buren, and also just a spot in front of Minster. Talks about his squad coming up in just a bit. Steve Schmitmeyer, St. Mary's golf coach, whose team is 11th after the first day of competition in Division II. Just in front of 13th place, Tyler Overman from Coldwater, who was down there as an individual, but shot, I believe, an 87 in his first day, in his first couple of rounds. And Coldwater volleyball coach Nikki Etzler, who just wrapped up the Midwest Athletic Conference a couple of days after this was recorded on a Tuesday. She and her team pick up the win to get to 22-0 on a Thursday night, ranked number 1. You'll hear from all three of those individuals before their events, and a little bit of a different look, kind of inside what their programs have had going on. Talked about golf. Ross Dietz from Botkins finished second place as an individual in Division III. Wayne Trace's Kyle Sutton, who was the leader after day one, ends up in third. Duffield St. John's Tice McLean tied for sixth. St. Mary's boys, like I said, halfway through their round. They will finish up tomorrow on Monday as you hear this. And a lot of trophies given out recently. The Kalida girls, the Continental boys, take the PCL golf titles. Lipsick and Audubon share the volleyball title. Lipsick goes 10-0 in the BVC and snaps that long winning streak for Liberty Benton to take home the Blanchard Valley Conference crown in their first year back. Bluffton boys win the Northwest Conference. Surprise, surprise, surprise. They're pretty good. They've never lost an NWC game. Columbus Grove girls, who finishes the runner-up in the PCL, win the Northwest Conference. Shawnee boys, OG girls, win the WBL on the pitch. Lincoln View grad, Dane Ebel. Shout out to him. He's been on this show before and is just an absolutely terrific young man who was at Lincoln Trail Community College. Just announced that he's going to play baseball at Kansas out there in the great Midwest, and way out there, too, because I've been there. It is way out there. Speaking of Lincoln View girls win the Northwest Conference Cross Country Championships, with Grove finishing second. Speaking of Grove, Columbus Grove grad Reese Verhoff, a 50-yard field goal, his new career long for Marshall and the Thundering Herd this weekend. And his alma mater, the Grove boys, win the Northwest Conference Cross Country title. Minster girls, well, there's a MAC title. It's going to them. Versailles boys win the title on the other side. Minster finishes second. Van Wert, the boys, with their first cross-country title since 2000. And the OG girls with another WBL title, their third straight. One of the biggest notes in volleyball this weekend, the Tenora Rams volleyball program. Big shout out to them. And to my dude, Keith Brown, finished 22-0 in the regular season. They're going to do well in the tournament. All of those getting started next week. Excited to do some soccer. Coming up this week and into this weekend, you can find it on Z Sports Live and WZOQ Radio. But it was week 8 of high school football that dominated. And speaking of domination, Lima Senior, 79-0. They ended up getting all their points in the first half. They're up 64-0 with 5 minutes left in the first half when I saw it. Most points in a game. Longest touchdown pass in school history from Janias Hall, the leader in passing in the entire country. Tabuk Wilson, on the same play in the same game, breaks Ruben Flowers, who headed to Pittsburgh. Single season receiving yardage mark. Western Buckeye League, Bath beat up on Defiance 28-0. Ottawa Glandorf fended off Salina 21-7. Bulldogs a little struggle bus right now. Elida blanked by Wapakoneta 35-0. Shawnee led Van Wert 14-13 at one point. Ended up losing 28-14, and St. Mary's ran for 499 yards in a win over Kenton, 64-28. Midwest Athletic Conference had Minster blanking Versailles, 35-0. For Recovery, back on the winning side with a 36-24 victory over Parkway. St. John's 49-0 loss to St. Henry. Bremen lost 24-7 to Coldwater, and Marion Local a machine. Now 56 straight, one shy of the record, and they passed Kirtland for second longest on the streak ever with their 56th in a row. They beat Anna 42-zip. I don't even know what to say about the Flyers anymore. 14 straight games of holding opponents under 10, 23 straight under 20, 48 straight games under 30, and according to Fantastic50.net, that is their 205th straight game of under 40 points, a new state record dating back to 2010. Big game coming up this weekend, though, between Marion Local and Minster. That one would tie the overall record of 57 by St. John's back in the day, and then Coldwater would be waiting in the wings in week number 10. And if you thought it was a monstrous 50-50 a couple of years ago when that lady won like $14,000, it will be, if it is now a chance at 57 in a row, it'll be a monster 50-50 in week number 10. So call your friends, ask them to get you a ticket, and ask them to get me one too. Northwest Conference, Allen East blanked Jefferson 41-0. Second best team, according to a lot of folks in the Northwest Conference in Bluffton, heading in on that Week 10 showdown with Grove. 42-28 winners at Fort Loramie. Columbus Grove just blew up Crestview's plans for doing anything. 49-7, Trenton Barraza, who just visited Central Michigan yesterday. Over 5,000 yards in his career now. He broke the school record for 100-yard games in his career. He's pretty good. Lima Central Catholic beat up on my alma mater. Spencerville 36-7. Blanchard Valley Conference. Pandora Thursday night, still scoring points. 55-13 over Arcadia. Macomb 30 better than Arlington at 37-7. Riverdale 32-18 over Elmwood. Liberty Benton, they just threw shutouts all over a very good Lipstick team, 38-0. And Ada. 6 straight victories for the first time since 2012. Most victories since 2017 with 7. They are off to something else up there in the BBC. That's a look at some things going on. Again, tournament season in full swing. We'll talk a lot about that as the weeks roll along. But so much good coming up. We've got a look at Kalida Golf at St. Mary's Golf and a Coldwater Volleyball when we come back. If you look at the state polls, and I talked about this earlier on, you'll notice that the Midwest Athletic Conference is well represented. Maybe no more so at the top, and the number 1 ranked Coldwater Cavaliers unbeaten after a big win last night. And Nikki Etzler, so kind to join me. And the first thing I want to ask you is, what was that atmosphere like last night? Because the pictures, there are just people everywhere in that building.
It was awesome to get, a lot of people out on a Thursday night watching high school girls volleyball. I think that, New Bremen brings such a great fan base and a great student section. And I think Coldwater, like our community, is behind us, and they're bringing people to our matches. And our student section was pretty good last night. And just people that are not associated with New Bremen and Coldwater were also in the gym last night watching really good volleyball, which is really great for the girls and for just volleyball in general in this area.
Your girls have had kind of that going on all year, but how much do things like that, we obviously played in the MAC and everybody's ranked, it seems like, throughout the course of the year, but how much of playing and just the atmosphere like that gets you ready for going on the road in those big gyms, hopefully on the run to Fairborn?
I think our girls love it. They love that, that pressure, and they love to be able to hear the crowd cheer for them and gain momentum through that. So I think it's great going into tournament that you have an opportunity to play in that type of environment to prepare them for that. And I think it's just a blessing, like you said, in the MAC, like that's the kind of crowd that we get to play around. And so the girls love it and enjoy it and embrace it. So it's awesome.
I know that you've been around the game and you've had success, but do you look at maybe specifically the MAC and then a little bit further out, because you've got the WBL right there as well, and the NWC's got some terrific teams in the Shelby County League, of just having so much great volleyball around, of kind of that sorority of coaches of, I like you up until the ball is served, and then we can be friends in like an hour and a half. Is that kind of an oddity to be a part of?
I don't know if it's an oddity, but it's a special group to be a part of. And, I know how hard, our staff works for our student athletes, and And I know how hard the coaches in the MAC and, like you had said, area schools, they work so hard for their kids and are pouring in, time and effort, energy and planning, and they're giving time away from their own families to make volleyball what it is in this area. So, you go into it with just a high level of respect for them and what they're doing. And then to be included in that group is, it's just really cool. And I think that, like you said, we're very competitive, but also a lot of the coaches, we genuinely care about one another and about families and their kids and how they're doing. So I think that's neat.
Well, and especially I bring that up because I have a high level of respect for Diana Kramer, and I know you do as well. But, that 3-3 start before you guys go on that big run, ultimately end up 14-5 in that first set. You just kind of look over and maybe try to figure out what's going through her mind of how you move your chess piece, how she's going to respond.
It's funny you ask that. People ask me, like, do you see the other coaches and what they're doing? I don't really pay attention to the other coaches. I pay attention to what the girls on the other side of the court are doing, and in particular what our girls are doing. So I don't really know the antics of coaches on the other side because that's not just something that I look towards. My eyeballs don't really go there when I'm coaching. So I'm not really sure what she is doing, to be honest. I just know what we're doing and what rotations we're in and what they could do in that rotation. So, yeah.
I guess it's a little bit different, though, because you guys are on the same side in that maybe you wouldn't look across. But do you like, now that we've kind of come back out of COVID, where you flip ends of the court? Or, were you a big fan of just kind of staying where you were with how they reset it for a while?
Well, the college game switches sides. And, I know that's a big discussion in the volleyball world. Should the high school team switch sides? I don't know that I'm a fan for or against it. I think that depends on the gym. But, I think that some sides give you advantages. Sometimes we've been at a gym like Defiance's gym. There were windows and there was like a big screen. And we were like serve receiving into that. And so that glare and that screen was there, which kind of skewed our perception in serve receive. So in gyms like that, you do want to switch sides. But I think when you are in your own home court and you like that side, I think it does give you a bit of an advantage.
It is a beautiful gym, but you're right. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I could see where that would be distracting. Last night, Morgan Blasingame has just a terrific night, 21 kills in that match. Was there something kind of that she was doing specifically, or was it she just always ends up being in the right spot?
Well, we're doing some things in our offense with our first ball contact that give Morgan that opportunity and allow Mia to run such a great offense. So I think it's a combination of what the girls are doing for each other in order to have, Morgan do what she does best, and that's terminate balls. So we're so excited that she's on our side of the net and that she's, able to maintain that high reach and high level of play and knowing where to put the ball. But I also think it's a combination of her having such a great feel with Mia in our offense, and then that first tempo ball coming in and where Mia likes it and how the passers know how to get that ball to her. So I think it's a combination of all. And, like I always say, volleyball is such a cool sport because it's not just an eye sport. It's a we sport, and you all have to be working together for each other to be the best that you can be.
You guys have dropped one set all year. That in and of itself is just insane. But have you had any point during the year where maybe, balls, you guys get down a run, you give up a run of 5, which is easier to do in volleyball than a lot of people realize, and you have to kind of take a timeout to kind of re-energize yourself? And, do you just tell a joke? Because I'm always curious what coaches talk about in timeouts when maybe they're just trying to relieve the pressure a little bit.
I think we like to prepare our girls for what the other side is going to do and then what we're capable of doing on our side. So, sometimes in a timeout, it's just like trying to break momentum. And sometimes in a timeout, it is, just, getting everybody just to, take a deep breath and give them the information that this is what is going to happen in this, next series. These are the likelihoods of what they're going to run on the other side. And, or, maybe it's just a tweak of our serve receive. We need to, shift somebody this way, or maybe we need to switch our offense. So, it just depends on the situation. But, I think our senior leaders are really good. about controlling the court and managing the court because we only have 2 timeouts. So their leadership has been a great addition to our coaching staff because they're the coaches on the court. So
one of your big points last night was Spencer Etzler saved a nearly impossible ball from hitting the floor. It ultimately leads to your run to close out the third set. Do you just kind of marvel at times for like a split second of you just stop and go, wait, is that a thing? Do we still get to keep playing this point?
Yeah, I felt like our girls did a great job just selling out on defense yesterday and just making sure that they weren't going to sell themselves short of saying, I can't get that ball. And they were like, I can get that ball, that mindset, that defensive pursuit. So we were, there were quite a few of those plays that you thought the ball was almost down and then it wasn't. And it was neat to see the girls in the movement together in defense to be able to play those balls up and then put pressure on New Bremen after that, dig into the offense. So I do marvel. I'm like, geez, they're so quick, or great read on that. Or, I get excited for them.
There's a lot of talk, obviously, about pressure building. I mean, you guys have been ranked number 1 for a while. The football team's ranked number 2 after they dropped a spot. A lot of success at Coldwater in pretty much everything. Do you feel that a little bit because you had a miraculous year a year ago? Obviously, kind of didn't end the way you guys wanted of, okay, we need to learn on every little thing and just kind of build on that? Or is it the girls and you are able to handle that internally?
Well, I think it's probably a combination of that. I think they like the pressure. I think they expect from themselves, and I think they expect from each other. So having that in the gym on a daily basis creates a unique feeling when you're playing in a match. Like you're expected to get that. You're expected to do that in practice. So that carries over to the match. So as far as I just think these girls are from a community that works really hard and they serve others. So I think in the game of volleyball that is exemplified in how they play for each other, and they don't just play for themselves. So whether it's being ranked 1 or whatever it may be, they're always working to serve one another. And so that, I think, gives them that freedom to just continue to play and be who they are and use their talents on the court.
It's so funny because there must be a Coldwater coach's guidebook because Corey Klenke and Chip have said nearly the exact same thing when I've asked them that question. I love, though, seriously, all joking aside, about how when I see a Coldwater team, I know that not only are they going to be filled with good human beings, but they're going to be filled with athletes who are not only kind of leading the next generation into the right way, but you're going to be so technically sound. I've always marveled if people want to know how the MAC is so good, it's because you have good people who are technically sound.
Well, thank you. We'll take that as a compliment.
I meant it in a weird roundabout, couldn't get to it way.
Yeah. I mean, I think volleyball is such a tough sport. It's high energy and it's a lot of power, but boy, there's a lot of fundamentals and finesse within it. So I think that's the staple in our program, is really just to work those fundamentals as hard as we can, because we know they're going to be an advantage for us when they're older. So
when you look at the way that this season was building, was there a marker where, you guys lost some key pieces from a year ago. You're able to kind of reset and retool. Was there a point where it kind of, as it started all coming along, whether it was the spike off with the amazing teams you guys had in there, or as the season went on, that you kind of looked at it and said, okay, we're doing things in the right way. I feel like this could be the start of something big here?
I don't know if there was one particular moment, but I just think that how the girls come in to practice every day and how they want to grind and get better and just say, what are our weaknesses? I think we need to work on this. That mentality has been so great. So I think from day 1 of the preseason, they're not coming in going, we're the best. They're coming in going, how can we get better? What can we do today to get better? So that is awesome as a coaching staff, because we're always diving into film and taking a look at different rotations and saying, what can we do to help them prepare to be better? So I think it's their mindset has just been great from day 1 for us.
Well, I wish you girls the best of luck, and congratulations on the MAC title and all the success, and hopefully a lot more going forward.
Thank you. Thanks for having us today and having a conversation about Coldwater volleyball and our community, because we're certainly proud of the girls.
I'm happy to be able to do it.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
That's Nikki Etzler, the head coach at Coldwater. We've got some more when we come back in just a few. McSober Saloon at Coldwater at 880 East Main Street, where you can get a 3-item, 16-inch pizza every night for $11.99. And every Wednesday night, if it's wings you're craving, well, that's just $13.99.
For all you can eat.
Live entertainment every single weekend at McSober's. You can also stock up on hash browns, mini tacos, and grilled cheese and bacon cheeseburgers. If you're having a family party, a family gathering, or a graduation, give McSober's a call. They can accommodate you as well at 419-678-2602. That's McSober's in Coldwater, 880 East Main Street, Mercer County's #1 sports and entertainment bar. A lot of state golf this weekend, and the start in the Rough Riders golf team go to the state tournament at a pretty big course. And as Steve Schmitmeyer, the head coach, now looking at this team, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you very much, Mike. I mean, it's been a ride. It's been awesome.
Have you been up to Firestone and Akron and kind of walked, over the years and kind of have been able to look at how this course is going to play?
Yeah, well, it's been a few years since I've been there, but years ago they used to have an American Cancer Society tournament in every county, and if you won the county, you got the right to go play Firestone in that course. So, and Denny Cisco, who you get to set aside every week, was on that team that we got to go down there with a few times. So he could even tell you more about it. But yeah, so familiar with it a little bit, but it's been years.
That already sounds like, and kind of guessing who the rest of the group is, that was probably a time that was had.
That you can say for sure.
I know. Anytime I get a golf story and Denny's been on the road, I'm pretty sure I know how the rest of it went. But you've got kind of an odd season, the way it's gone. I mean, you guys are in the front half of the WBL, and then the WBL tournament, it kind of maybe didn't go the way that you would have liked for it to end, but you still come away with the Player of the Year, and kind of walk me through a little bit how that week goes.
Yeah, so, well, we finished the regular season 8-1. The Monday before the WBL tournament, we played Van Wert at Van Wert, and no, we really had to win that match because the tournament was at their home course, and it gave us the extra point to stay in front of them a little bit, and we were fortunate enough to tie them and then beat them on the fifth score. So that projected us to tie for first with Ottawa. So we basically needed to beat Ottawa, finish in the top 3, and we'd have at least a share of the title. Well, we didn't beat Ottawa, and we finished 4th. So that dropped us down to an overall finish of 3rd. Player of the Year, Brendan Steger was actually leading the tournament going to the last hole, and then the kid from Shawnee tied him, and they went out and played it off, and he lost the medalist there, but he was runner-up medalist and WBL Player of the Year, which he had one heck of a good season. I think he was medalist in 8 of our 10 dual matches. So, yeah, he's had a great year.
I think that's the part where golf is a little crazy frustrating of you have to wait to read those scores, and then you lose on your 5th score, and then to go out and you just hit maybe one bad shot on that extra hole, and all of a sudden things are a lot different than they were 5 minutes ago.
A lot different for sure.
I think that's where I just start, where I just duff the first shot, and then after that, nobody has any kind of expectations for how it's going to go, and I can just have fun.
And that's it. Well, they actually both had bad tee shots there, so I think the nerves was getting to them a little bit. But so they actually didn't play the hole too well, but there had to be a winner, so there was one.
There can be only one, I think is how that goes. Last week, you put your state ticket with that 335 at Maumee Bay. I've heard that is a beautiful course to play. Ottawa Hills gets 6 shots better. What goes into something like that from a coaching perspective? Because I know you're maybe offering little tips, but how much more do you do, like, past that point in the season of really being able to coach the boys up?
Yeah, so we had talked going to sectionals that our sectional was really loaded because we had OG in there, Van Wert in there, and Coldwater in there, and the Ottawa Hills team, which was really good, and the Napoleon was good. And so we thought, geez, man, they're only going to take 3 teams out of here, and if we get out of here, we're going to go to districts. I think we got a realistic chance of getting to state. We just got to perform. So we looked at it in that retrospect, and when we qualified, we were really excited. we went up to play the practice round the day before the actual district tournament, and it was a big course. I asked the guy what tees we're playing. He said the tips, and I'm like, oh, okay, no big deal. We'll go out there because everybody else has to. And so we played that, and it went okay. We didn't shoot the 335, but we played okay, got a good look at it, and knew what the expectations were going to be for the second day. And the fact that you just got to keep grinding. Every single hole, there's multiple places on that golf course where you can make a big number. And I think Napoleon had that happen to them. They had their fourth and fifth guys who shot way above their normal scores. And that's kind of what I was trying to tell the guys. Hey, let's just stick with the process, go take it hole by hole, shot by shot, and let's see how it all shakes out at the end. And comes to find out, I'm talking to Brendan Steger on the last hole, and he's in the heather there, and he's thinking about taking a drop. And I said, no, you're playing this shot. You can hit this shot. And I said, besides, we're in without your score. He said, I knew we were close, but he said, are you serious? I said, yes. So, and he hits a great shot on the green, 2 putts for par, and we end up getting a couple more strokes taken off our score. So, yeah, and it's just been awesome. It's been a great ride. Brennan's been a tremendous leader for this team. Matter of fact, so I'll ask the guys, who wants me to go with them, on the round today, and who wants the extra help? And naturally, I asked Brennan first, and he says, hey, he said, you just get the rest of the guys there. I'll take care of my part. I'm like, man, talk about a leader. That's a leader right there.
Did you actually know that you were in, or did you just kind of try to fire him up and get him to, hit one of those extra shots?
They had an app where they had the scores online, and I was like 2 holes left. It looked like we were in because we were almost done, and Ottawa had to play a few holes. Otto Glandorf had to play a few holes behind us yet. And I'm like, well, they all probably aren't going to all make pars the last 2 holes. And so I kept looking at it. I checked with a couple of players, and Kurt Bear, who goes there and watches his nephew play a lot. And we're all trying to pencil crunch, and I got it. And I got to figure out, like, we're in. We can't, we can't get beat here because we're done. Our worst score is in. So, yeah, it was good, and it was quite relaxing, actually, once I really thought we were in.
Is that easier or harder? Because I know, you've been doing this for a while I would imagine back in the day, yeah, you have pencil, you can go to everybody and say, oh, what did you do? What did you do? You're doing the math. But, to be able to have the app, I would think would also be kind of detrimental because you're constantly now checking it and kind of obsessing about it and worrying about every single shot.
Yeah, I just kind of took a peek at it after 2 holes and saw we were leading and thought, well, there's not many teams that are out here yet. So I thought, well, I'm not going to check for a while. So I checked about hole 6 and we're second. And I thought, that's pretty good. And got to hole 10 and we're second. I'm thinking, well, this is pretty good. I got to pay a little bit more attention to this. We got to hole 13 and 14. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to start writing these numbers down. I got to get serious here and see where we're at. And I just kept looking at it. I'm like, man, this is pretty nice because otherwise, if we didn't know where we stood, we would have been fretting over every one of those shots coming in and saying, hey, is this one shot make a difference or not? So like the Van Wert match we had Hayden Roby's coming in at the end, and I thought he had to chip in this little chip shot he had for us to win or tie. And he chips it and it goes like 15, 18 feet past the hole. And I thought, dang, I said, well, we got to make this for sure. Otherwise, I don't think we have a shot. And he drained that thing. And the guys were all jumping out because they had it all figured out. They have an app that they have the scores on and stuff. So, and they knew everybody was in there, and I'm still out there trying to coach. But yeah, so it was definitely exciting when they knew we had that match. And it was really exciting knowing that we were going to go to state with a hole left.
Well, and it's so funny because last week we talked about this before it went on. I was doing college golf in Findlay, and I kept seeing all the kids immediately go to their phone. And I remember thinking, like, is everybody checking Twitter or TikTok? What's going on here? And it never even dawned on me about the kind of automatic scoring. And I kind of figured out maybe along the way, I'm like, all right, maybe they're punching their scores in, or they just are trying to set up, homecoming festivities or something.
There you go. Yeah, the one bad thing about that is that that's not the official score. So had it been, 3 or 4 shots, I might have been a little bit more nervous about it. But the fact it got up to be 9 shots, 10 shots, I'm like, okay, well, then I feel pretty good. We should be all right.
It's got to be a little bittersweet to have the way that WBL turns out, but then kind of extra sweet for you to have OG be behind you when you go through that district round.
That is for sure. Yeah, I mean, this year the WBL was really, really competitive. And it turned out that we just came in on the outside of that. And I said, guys, the season's not over. Let's just keep at the grind and see where this thing goes, where it may end. I said, we're as good as any of those other teams. We've got to beat them. But let's just see where it ends.
I want to ask you about, since you started golfing and the time that you started coaching and to now, how have you, besides the app that we were kind of technology what we were talking about, how have you seen whether it's the kids or how the game has changed?
Well, I'm not sure it's really changed that much. I mean, we still want to hit the fairway and hit the greens and putt no more than 2 times. But overall, I think it's a little bit up and down. I mean, you'll get a group of kids for like years ago when Michael played, Bath was just really, really good. They had 5 guys that could shoot par. They went to state, I think, all 4 years, won the state, I think, twice. And then their program, when all those guys were gone, was not very good. Everybody was shooting in the 50s because I think what happens is, why am I going to go out to the golf team when we got these 4 freshmen that are shooting in the 30s? I'm never going to play. And so every year after year, I think that probably took some play away from them rather than the excitement of saying, hey, I could be part of something. But yeah, I don't know. So we're trying to I get a camp in the summertime. We try to get some kids out there who probably never been out there before, because it is hard to take a kid out to the golf course if you don't have 2 hours, or 18 holes is 4 hours. I mean, and then to get the kids out there that are not able to drive, a parent has to be out there. So if the parent's not playing, pretty hard for that kid to be playing. They can drop him off at the soccer field and come back in 2 hours and pick him up. But golf is it's a little bit different. They don't start that till a little bit later. I mean, I was out watching my granddaughter play, 3 years old, playing soccer the last couple of weeks. I'm thinking, okay, how can we get these kids swinging golf clubs at 3?
My daughter uses everything like a golf club at 3, so I'm trying to go the other way.
No, I think you'll like that.
Yeah, she's kicking soccer balls at me right now. Speaking of daughters, I would be remiss. Your daughter is one of my favorite people in the entire world. To get to watch her maturation, not only as a golfer, but as a human being, and now getting ready to get married.
Yes.
A national champion. How old does that make you feel? Because it makes me feel old, and she's not my daughter.
Really old, seeing that I watched your brother 10 years before that. But it turned out pretty good because I got to watch them all, and all the sports they played. And I really did miss, but I think 2 or 3 events in the whole process. But yeah, I said, time flies when you're having fun. I said, I got to find the rascal having all the fun.
How awesome is that, though, to go from obviously a St. Mary's program that is near and dear to both of you to being able to sort of hand her off, so to speak, to Dom at the University of Findlay and their success of, kind of continuing that Rough Rider legacy of, I know she's in really good hands and she's going to do well.
Yeah, that was a great bit of information that I got when Jill decided to go there. We had looked at other Division I schools and they wanted her to go there. And I'm like, on the matter of fact, on the way home from one of the Division I schools, I was kind of in tears thinking, oh no, she's going here for sure. I can just feel it. And that's a lot more hours away. And I'm like, oh, well, it is what it is. So we'll just pray on it and see what happens. And lo and behold, she talks to Dom, and Dom gets her. And I tell you, Dom really, really takes care of those players up there, man. He's a really good guy, and not just trying to get them to play golf well, but turning into an adult and helping them along the way. And if they need something, he's there for them. So I really felt she was in great hands there. Of course, Mike was there before that, and Coach Baker was there, and he was really good to the guys. And so really a good university there, and they really look out for the kids.
I always ask every coach when they're getting ready to go to any kind of state tournament, what's the week like that building up? Because there's so much other stuff that goes on between the time that you get from the end of the districts and you go through the trophies and everything to the time you get to the tee box in the next round at state. What goes into that week? I mean, is it just great for the kids of, all right, let's just get there and let's just hit a ball?
Yeah, I think that's been my montage, is to say, hey, you guys, listen, we've made it. Now we're going to go there and we can actually enjoy a round of golf, hitting one shot at a time on an absolute beautiful property, and let's just see how good we can make it. There's going to be kids that are there that expect to shoot really good numbers, and if they get going sideways on a couple of holes, they might give up. You just never know. The weather now is projected to be not the best. And I said, well, the one thing that we have is a never give up mentality. So we're going to fight and grind for every shot and take it from there. This week we went and played Pickle Country Club yesterday to get a little different, little longer piece of property to play. And we're going to try to get up to Finley Country Club today. So we'll see how that goes. But just trying to get them, used to saying, hey, we're not going to hit every green in regulation when you play from 7,000 yards.
If you do, then please let a lot of people just sell a book. Maybe let them know how you did it.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like you can
I actually played yesterday, and it didn't kind of go as planned.
Well, welcome to every golf I've ever attempted. I don't feel bad for anybody that's not good at it. But you guys have to wait an extra couple of days. I mean, D3 goes to Sunbury, and then with D2 having it to go not till the 13th and 14th. Do you like those extra couple of days, or would you rather that it was earlier, just kind of to get those nerves out, hit that ball, and just be ready to go?
Well, the only way I would have liked to have been earlier if we had the weather. So this week could have been better to go because of the weather, but I'd rather have the extra time, the extra day or two. I think it gives them, and not that they haven't practiced every day for the last 60 days, but it's just the mentality of getting everything organized, because you got to get everything. You got to get packed. You got to make sure you have what you need. It gives you the time to make the arrangements. And so there's a lot of extra behind the scenes things going on. And I think the extra day or two would be helpful. We would have went the next day, though, if they would have said, you qualified, you're leaving from here. Right. We're going.
Plus, Kettering's a lot closer. I wish you and the boys safe trips and the actual best of luck that you can get.
Yes, I appreciate that very much. It is a little bit of a trek to get over there, but once we're there, we're going to be there for a few days, so we'll enjoy that.
That's the head golf coach at St. Mary's, and big congratulations to them and a lot of success coming their way. We've got some more in just a few. Looking to get out of the house and have a great time? Look no further than Lindley Lanes in Spencerville, your premier private party venue. For just $85 an hour, you can rent the entire alley, all 6 lanes, and roll your way to a great night of adventure. We talked about St. Mary's going golfing this week at the state tournament. Now we're talking about the Kalida Wildcats, and head coach Kevin Stechschulte, nice enough to spend some time with me. And what you maybe don't realize is the wind you hear in the background is because they're actually getting ready to do their practice round and tee off tomorrow. But first of all, just a big congratulations on the season.
Thanks, Mike. It's been great. Nice mix of upperclassmen and some freshmen and sophomores. Kids have been fantastic this year, so I've enjoyed every second of it.
I just happened to have been watching the send-off video from yesterday on Twitter, and we were just talking about this, and I laughed at how the kids were all running through in the first half of the video, and you just told me that the seniors, they're too cool for school because they made the underclassmen run, and then they just kind of saunter by in the video. Did you just kind of laugh when you watched that whole thing take place?
100%. Yeah, I knew exactly what was going on as soon as I saw the first kid running down the hallway. The seniors were back there giggling to themselves, and that's just kind of how the year's been going. The seniors have been awesome with the younger kids, and they tease and poke when they can, but that's all in good fun. So it's great.
It is a thing that, I feel like if it was me, I would want to walk because I would want to take as much time and soak up as much of that. Just that's a thing that hard work paying off maybe doesn't always come around, and to be able to go through where they obviously know everybody in that hallway of, yep, this moment's for me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. If I was in that position, I would have walked as slow as I could and enjoyed the school support and everything. And I guess our hope is that maybe these underclassmen get to experience it again and they'll wisen up next time.
Wait, you mean you didn't get your own personal walkthrough?
The teams that I played on, we were fortunate enough to make it to state a few times, but the walkthrough in the hallway wasn't a thing back then.
Oh, I'm just meaning they should have let you do it this time.
No, that's all about the kids. I let the kids do that. I want the attention on them. They deserve it.
I just would have liked to have seen that video is really what I'm just trying to push here.
I understand.
You guys have had obviously great support. Doesn't matter what sport it is. The volleyball team was doing well. The soccer team is doing well. But how is it with the support with having kind of the times you play and the courses that you play, of having people come in? Maybe is it just parents, or is it a lot of people coming to support as you continue to go down, whether it's the PCL trail or the tournament trail?
Well, our parents are always awesome. I guess my answer to that question, I think back to about a week ago, where other coaches at the district at Bowling Green were complimenting our community about how much support we had at Bowling Green. We had so many spectators and kids there supporting our kids. It was overwhelming. It was awesome. And that's just credit to the kids' hard work this year. It's pretty cool to see.
I think it's pretty neat that obviously Putnam County, I've talked about this multiple times in the air, probably a lot, that when you're going against each other, obviously everybody wants to beat each other and all that, but as it continues to go on, and I've seen it from some other PCL schools, that everybody then becomes your biggest fan when you're kind of one of those last two. How neat is that to be from a place where everybody's rooting for everybody outside of the 3 hours or whatever you're against each other?
We're very lucky. We're extremely lucky to have our kids play sports in communities in the area that we do. I'm close with almost all the coaches, the golf coaches and the basketball coaches for that matter. And during the season, we obviously want to beat them, but if they get down the tournament trail, we're pulling like crazy for them. That's just what we do. That was established way before I was even started coaching any sports. And I think it's the only way to do it. Just support the small communities and see them do well.
I always ask coaches this. It's not world breaking, but I'm always curious. Was there a point throughout the year where you guys had to continue to play well? Maybe you hit a course and you just felt like it went right, that you kind of looked at it and said, all right, this might be the time that if we hit a couple of good shots, that we're going to be able to go a long way this season?
Michael, it actually happened in a match that we lost. We played Van Buren at Sycamore Springs about 3 weeks before the end of the year, and I have great respect for their program and Coach Heitkamp, and I always felt Van Buren was one of the better teams in Northwest Ohio, and we went shot for shot with them. We lost by 2 shots, but the way our kids conducted themselves that day and did the best they could, I saw a little different look in the way they took that match. And even though we lost, I knew right then and there that we could do some things in the postseason, and we've been lucky enough to do it.
You've got a lot of Northwest Ohio flavor, obviously, with Minster and then Tice McLean from St. John's. And you go a little further, you get to Wayne Trace and Botkins. Really neat to see how great golf in Northwest Ohio has been. But are you a fan of those super early start times, or would you rather play a little bit later in the day?
Well, frost might be an issue tomorrow morning. It doesn't bother me. I actually prefer the earlier tee times because the kids get to hang out and experience the team bonding type stuff in the afternoon and do team meals and stuff like that. So I would prefer to actually go in the morning than, like, say, around noon or 1 o'clock. It opens up the day for the kids to enjoy it.
What it seems like, too, kind of the way that it's gone with you guys being the first day and it being at Sunbury, of everything has to be packed in a tighter time, because the later tournaments with being through the 14th and then through the 16th, of they maybe get a little more of a chance to go or to read up about the course. It seems like you guys have to hit the ground running of, hey, 9 a.m. on Friday, you had a couple of days, get out there and get it going.
I think everybody's in the same situation, though. One of our players has played in the tournament here this summer, and I know the kids were stalking their website like crazy as soon as we were done Thursday after we qualified. So I think everybody's in the same boat. There might be a few kids that have played some rounds here, but there's no excuses on that. It's the same course for everybody.
How has this team been? Because you have a complete difference in the 5 kids that you're taking in terms of classes, where you have a pair of freshmen, a sophomore, and a pair of seniors. Is it everybody is doing a little bit of leading, or are you relying on maybe your older guys?
Our 2 seniors have taken this young crew under their wings and been awesome. And you could just tell, I could tell the first week of practice when everything came together, living in a small community too, everybody knows each other, but these kids have been playing together for 2 years, even when the seniors were sophomores and the kids were in junior high, everybody knew who each other were. I think the seniors understood that these young kids were able to help them achieve some of their team goals. So all the credit in the world to those kids, especially their parents and family, for just being solid leaders and great kids. I couldn't ask for any more of that.
I asked Steve Schmitmeyer this, the coach at St. Mary's, about kind of with the way technology has been and everybody's checking every shot. You guys are 4 shots behind Van Buren in second place and 6 shots off the lead in the districts. Is there a point where you're kind of maybe looking at that and doing math of, okay, we got to hit this next shot, or this one trailed a little bit off the fairway, of we have to put this in and maybe freak out a little bit?
My responsibility on Thursday was to help the younger kids play the last 2 or 3 holes. The seniors are the seniors. They got to figure it out. But the young kids are the ones that I kind of followed around and made sure they kind of felt the situation like, hey, we need to get this in at decent numbers. We're not taking any chances. We're going to play just a little bit conservative. I was scoreboard watching just like all the other coaches. So the seniors, I let them do their thing. The younger kids, I was around them a lot more just to make sure we were making the right decisions.
How much of that is kind of from them of, okay, coach, we're tired of listening to you. We get what you're saying. I got to put this in of just kind of you being able to choose of who to be around?
I've kind of let the seniors do their own thing most of the year. I'll check in with them periodically, but the younger kids, I tell them, I tease them all the time, like, are you guys sick of me yet? Because there's just so much about this game that kids need to understand, especially with team golf. Team golf's way individual, way more different than individual golf. And that was my big goal with these young kids this year, was to understand the importance of team golf and making the right decision. What's the best decision here on this shot for the team? And that was my main goal with the younger kids this year, especially during postseason. Like, let's just get this in and be solid. We don't have to be heroes.
How much fun is being around this group, though, not even necessarily all on the course, but with stuff? You guys left Kalida yesterday. You get to go up and kind of the way you get to hang out and just see them enjoy it.
The bus rides might be the best part of our trips. They get along great. The stuff that they talk about back there is, I just giggle to myself and scratch my head, and they get along great. A coach could not ask for a better group of 5 kids to spend 2.5 months with.
It
awesome.
Keeps you young. Is that how that goes?
Well, they keep me young, but there's a reason I'm bald and my goatee is white. So there's a combination of both there.
I feel like only part of that is probably their fault. The other part might be you.
I would agree with that statement, yes.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of people in your house that might agree with that too. But
that is correct.
Such a really neat thing. I'm glad, obviously, your hard work has paid off. The kids look like they're just having an absolute ball with everything. And what are you most looking forward to about the course of this weekend?
That's a really good question. I am hoping that the seniors soak it all in and realize that, they've made school history. Not everybody gets to play down here. I hope all the kids realize that there are a lot of kids that are jealous of their situation this weekend. And we are down here to enjoy the experience, but we're also down here to compete and do the best we can. So I just want the kids to enjoy it and do the best they can. I think that's all I can ask out of them.
Well, I hope that you have an extra rider and a big gold trophy on your way back to Kalida.
That would be something. That would be a lot of fun. That's one shot at a time. How's that, Mike?
Hey, I'm just trying to look at the positives. I get to look at the long view. You got to look at the short view.
I understand. As the coach, I'm worried about the first tee shot for everybody tomorrow.
Well, as the guy who's just trying to predict the future, I'm hoping that they all go well, they all go long, and they all go in under par.
That would be awesome.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking about your team.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I appreciate everything you guys do.
That's Kevin Stechschulte talking about Kalida Golf. At Lee Kitzel Sales and Service, 650 West Irvin Road in Van Wert, we guarantee our best price for every new Chevrolet and GMC every day, always. At Lee Kitzel's, we also guarantee you'll come back happy with our service after the sale and earn top dollar for your trade-in, no matter what condition it's in. Not sure what's right for your next vehicle? Stop on out at 650 West Irvin Road and let our trained and helpful sales professionals put you in the right vehicle today, or browse online at leekitzel.com. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
He's my daddy, my go hunting. I'm done.
Thanks for tuning in and helping me support high school sports. A big thanks to Kevin Stechschulte, Steve Schmitmeyer, Nikki Etzler for being a part of the show. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Trying to get some more coverage of sports and individuals not getting enough. And that has always been the hope and what we're trying to do with this podcast. More coming up. Please make sure you go out this week. The temperatures are going to be down, so get out. Get your hoodies, get your blankets, go out and support high school sports, volleyball, cross country, football, of course. Go inside and watch volleyball or go outside. Watch some soccer. If not, you can tune in to the many great outlets that we have here in Northwest Ohio. But, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great night and even better tomorrow from all of us here at Around the Hearn.
We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Around the Hearn. Come back next week for more local stories from the NWO. But until then, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Michael Hearn PBP for more great area content.